In this Helldivers 2 video, we're going to be going over what my new meta loadout is for the bots. Now, I've been playing the bots for the major order the past week, and having to destroy troopers with a rail cannon has been absolutely insane, but I digress. It's been actually quite a good challenge, and I'm glad that they gave us a lower cooldown on the rail cannon, but anyways, that's not what I'm talking about. But basically, I've been actually using some of my old loadouts and just testing them out to see if they worked, and one of the ones I wanted to test out was my old meta loadout. So basically in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be discussing what the old meta loadout was and exactly how it handles the bots now, because so much has changed. We've got new bot variants. We've also got new types of bots as well on the bot front from the war striders and things like that. And how does that loadout hold up today? I'm going to talk about a new meta loadout that I feel like is just as viable, if not more viable, than my old meta loadout. And then lastly, what I want to do is I want to give you a non-meta loadout that is absolutely hilariously fun and one of my favorite loadouts to run against the bots right now, because it works against all three variants, from the fire bots to the flying bots to the regular bots. But anyways, we got a lot to talk about. Let's do it. So my previous meta loadout was very simple. Basically, I wanted to stack as much anti-tank as possible because convoys were introduced into the game, as well as there were just so many different types of heavier units that I wanted to deal with. And last thing I wanted to do was run out of anti-tank things. And that's what I feel like the biggest thing with the bots is just trying to make things go away as quickly as possible. So the crux of it really was centered around lots of anti-tank. But for the primary weapon, we're bringing in the Purifier. It was and still is, in my opinion, the best overall well-rounded primary weapon for the bots, just because of the fact that it not only deals huge damage, but it also has a ton of crowd control potential. So basically, when you charge this up, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to start staggering the hell out of whatever units are in the area. And because the AoE is rather large, it's going to stagger multiple units at once. And because the damage is so strong, it's going to be able to kill a lot of units very quickly. It's almost kind of boring at times, which is why I know a lot of people don't run it as much anymore, because it nullifies a lot of things on the bot front. But seriously, when this thing is going, it is one of the strongest primaries in the game in general, but on the bot front, it is definitely elite. Massive damage, huge crowd control potential. You're going to stun the hell out of packs of Devastators. You're going to stun the hell out of packs of Berserkers. It is literally one of the best weapons overall for just damage and overall crowd control on the bot front. For the secondary item, I was bringing in the Automaton because it was, at that time, the best overall secondary item in the game for the bot front, because it had so much utility. Not only was it good at dealing with the elite units, from the factory striders to the hulks and the tanks, it was also just powerful against the objectives. It could take out towers in one shot, could take out stratagem jammers, could take out detector towers, and it could do pretty much anything. There was nothing this thing could not freaking do on the bot front, which is why it was just a must-have for any situation. But ever since they've made the changes, it's definitely lessened my use of the Ultimatum, but it still is a powerful tool on the bot front because it's got great crowd clearing capabilities, meaning the explosion damage is much more consistent and stronger, so it's going to be able to deal with crowds of enemies better. It still is very powerful against the elite units, from the hulks, the tanks, and the factory striders. It can one-shot pretty much everything except for the factory striders, which that was the case before. But nevertheless, the Ultimatum was still very powerful, but it's not quite as good as it was when it could do basically anything like destroying objectives and things like that, but it is still quite good against the bot. For the equipment item, we're continuing to stack AT by bringing in the Thermites. The Thermites are just incredible for all the utility they offer on the bot front. Not only are they good with the elite units by being able to one-shot hulks, tanks, towers, and all those various things, it can deal heavy damage to factory striders, especially if you throw them on the undercarriage. You can kill them about 2 or 3 grenades. It's not much. If you throw them on there in general, it's going to be great for being able to deal with factory striders very quickly overall. It can also destroy fabricators, and that's what one of the best things about it is. If you're running supply pack, you can just run by and just hit up a bunch of fabricators with it if you're going through one of the mega bases and whatnot. So the utility of the Thermites is just powerful, and it's absolutely the best grenade right now on the bot front for sure. For the armor passive, I was bringing in the heavy fortified passive because yes, it does not protect you from direct impact damage, but it will protect you from that stray explosive damage, and it is so useful for being able to survive many situations where you wouldn't. I mean, there's so many times where I'm getting ragdolled to hell, but I'm surviving pretty much consistently because of the fact that I'm surviving most of the explosions, because of the native explosion resistance that's already on our armor. And then you stack on top of that the 50% extra resistance we get from fortified. I'm pretty much laughing at a lot of explosive type situations, which is great. And the heavy variant is just going to have the overall best effective health. But you can also run things like heavy medkit, you can also run engineer, things of that nature. But I still feel like fortified heavy is one of the best overall armor passives on the bot front. For the stratagem 1 slot, I brought in the recoilless rifle. This is easily the best anti-tank tool on the bot front, even still today, because of the fact that It one-shots so many things with ease. It can one-shot factory striders, it can one-shot hulks, tanks, whatever. It can kill towers from the front. It can deal with fabricators from one shot. This thing is elite. It has a ton of ammo because you get 6 total shots because you're able to have 1 in the tube and 5 on your back. And then the fact that it does everything so well, it just makes things so much easier when you're actually needing an AT solution. Because so many other things need some sort of gimmick to make it work, such as the Quasar, such as the Epoch and things like that require charge-ups. The EATs require a call-down. The recoilless is just so dependable. It's always on your back. I mean, the ammo is really generous, so that's 6 total things you can take out if you're accurate, including factory striders, which is absolutely incredible. So the recoilless rifle continues to be one of the best overall anti-tank tools on the bot front in general. For stratagem 2, I was bringing in the anti-tank emplacement. This is still one of the best overall things to deal with convoys. So if you have a convoy on the map, basically you set this up in a primo position and you're gonna be able to take out the whole convoy with ease from a safe distance. It's gonna make absolute breeze of all those things. It's great for dealing with objectives as well. Like if you have the big mega bases and whatnot, you can just take them out from afar, destroy the fabricators from afar. You can take out drop ships very easily with it. You can take out gunships very easily with it. This thing is elite on the bot front. It is seriously fun, and also it is just absolutely great at taking out any anti-tank situation that's in front of you. This paired with the recoilless rifle literally covers you on all anti-tank front with all the other things that we have in the arsenal as well. Last up for our final anti-tank option, which is the rocket sentry. This paired with the anti-tank emplacement is the best combo in the game because you set up the rocket sentry nearby. It's going to protect you and take out things while you're doing things. You can use the anti-tank emplacement to be able to shoot whatever from a distance, and then the rocket sentry is going to take out things like gunships or other elite units very easily. And even if you don't have the anti-tank emplacement down, just placing the rocket sentry anywhere is going to be elite because it has insane lock-on range. It can kill bots very quickly. It can take out hulks very quickly. It can take out factory striders on its own. There's pretty much not much the rocket sentry can't deal with from an enemy standpoint, which is absolutely great. I absolutely love the rocket sentry just as a whole on the bot front, but paired with all the other anti-tank options, we have so much that it's going to be able to deal with any situation that's in front of us. For our stratagem 4 slot, we had so much anti-tank that I didn't want to bring anything else, so I brought in a base clear item, and my favorite base clear item is the walking barrage. The walking barrage is just one of the most consistent barrages in my opinion. It has a straight line shot, so basically you throw this in front of you and it's going to go straight ahead and send out random bombardments as it goes in a straight line. This is very, very powerful for taking out any of the larger bases. It's very, very powerful for taking out any of the very spread out objectives in like the cities and whatnot, like the mega cities or the urban environments. I love the walking barrage. It is just very, very powerful on the bot front. A little bit better and more consistent in my opinion than the 380. It's not as tight as the 120 because the 120s can be put in here if you don't like the walking barrage. But personally, I like the walking barrage because it has a great cooldown, and in general, I think it has peak effectiveness when you use it correctly. So this build was just absolutely insane. Not only was I able to deal with any situation from an enemy standpoint with the purifier, all my anti-tank was covered. I had plenty of things to deal with whatever was in front of me, convoys, regular anti-tank situations, because the bots are very Hulk heavy, and with the new war striders, I was able to take them out very, very easily with this loadout because it just was easy to take them out with either ultimatum thermites or even the recoilless rifle or even the anti-tank emplacement. So literally, you're covered with any situation with this build, and it is still very effective today as much as it was back in the day when I was using it. All right, so that build was so freaking good that it's hard to top it. So what is the new meta loadout in my opinion? Really, there's not. This is the loadout I just told you. My old meta loadout is still the best loadout in the game for the bots. I'm just going to give you a spoiler there. However, I do have a build that is a good alternative if you want to run something else that is a little bit different that still offers a lot of the same functionality. It's just packaged a little bit different. So basically the side meta loadout, if you want to call it that, or the Meta Loadout 2 in a sense, is going to be very similar. So basically for the primary weapon, we're going to be running the Purifier again. I mentioned it before, absolutely insane damage, great for crowd control. Just in general, it's an absolute overall well-rounded machine against the bots. Definitely still the best primary weapon to take against them. The secondary item is still going to be the Ultimatum. Even though it did lose some of its overall utility from the fact it can't destroy some of the various objectives like detector towers and stratum jammers and things like that, it is still very good against the elite units. It's going to be able to take out hulks, tanks, towers, factory striders, things like that. It's going to be very good for that. We're also again bringing in the thermites because the thermites are just absolutely too good for taking out all the enemies and just walking away, just sticking this onto a hulk, sticking this onto a tank, just walking away. It's also very good for taking out fabricators and good for the new larger fabricators that we have on the bot front in the urban environments. For the passives, I'm a little bit more flexible these days because I do typically run Engineer Peak Physique with this particular loadout because we are running a pretty unwieldy stratagem 2 slot item, which we'll go over in just a moment. So you can either run one of those items, you can also run heavy medkit, but I still think fortified is too good. It is so freaking good for the extra tiny bit of protection you get from explosions, because there's so many times where that's just absolutely saved my life running the fortified armor. For the stratagem 1 slot, we're going to be running the supply pack. I love the supply pack because it keeps us topped up on ultimatum and thermite shots. We're going to need it a lot because I'm running a lot less pure anti-tank with this particular loadout, and I'm relying very heavily on the thermites and the ultimatum to be able to do most of the heavy lifting for some of those unwieldy type situations, meaning I just need to make something go away very quickly. I want to have the supply pack to be able to refund me on those things very quickly, so that's why that's here. For our stratagem 2, we're going to actually bring in the heavy machine gun. I feel like that this is actually one of the most underrated support weapons on the bot front. It is just so good at being able to take out anything with ease. It can take out the Hulks very quickly. It can take out anything with a vent very quickly. It can take out any enemy very quickly. It's very good on the War Striders. It's also very good for taking out gunships. It is a little bit unwieldy, so that's why you may want to bring in something like Peak Physique for the 30 extra ergonomics you get with it, so it's a little bit easier to handle. However, if you get used to it and you get used to diving with it and going prone a lot, there's a lot of situations where the bots will be missing you while you're absolutely obliterating them with heavy machine gun shots. So heavy machine gun is seriously one of my favorite weapons to use on the bot front. And if I don't want to run the recoilless rifle, I'm going to swap into this loadout that's going to have the heavy machine gun supply pack, as it's a little bit more interesting in my opinion. It will provide some variety in terms of anti-tank solutions, and it will still be just as effective in my opinion as if I was running the recoilless rifle at times. For stratagem 3 and 4, we're keeping in the anti-tank emplacement and the rocket sentry. Anti-tank emplacement is just too good. It really is absolutely insane for being able to take out so many situations from distance, whether you're taking out bases, where you're taking out convoys, just other types of missions with elite situations everywhere, taking out Hulks from a distance, you're on the capture the flag mission. Anti-tank emplacement is insane on the bot front. I absolutely love it. And the rocket sentry is the perfect peanut butter and jelly. It's good for on the move, just having something at all times to be able to help you take on any situation, and paired with the anti-tank emplacement, if you're on the capture the flag missions, it's absolutely a breeze to run both of these together. So both of these are still that good in the build, but essentially the old meta and the new meta are still the same. I think that the original meta that I came up with so long ago is still absolutely elite with whatever situation you're dealing with on the bot front, even the fire bots, if you are careful about not getting shot so much by fire. And then this new Meta Loadout is a good 1B in my opinion, because you can swap into this if you get tired of running the old Meta Loadout. So really either one of these options is going to work extremely well for being able to deal with any situation on the bot front. All right, so now let's talk about one of my favorite loadouts to run against the bots, really the fun loadout in my opinion, because it makes it quite a bit interesting and a completely different playstyle than you're used to. So I'm going to spoil it. This has a lot to do with the Warp Pack. The Warp Pack has completely revolutionized how we play most of the factions, and it's no different on the bot front. We're finally able to move around and be a little bit more athletic, avoiding shots, and it's just completely overpowered in a lot of ways versus the bots, but it's not quite overpowered. I'm being facetious, but essentially it's very, very good. So the primary weapon for this particular loadout is going to be the double-edged sickle. I love the double-edged sickle on the bot front. Not only is it just very interesting because of the different levels of damage and the different levels of penetration that happen with it, it's just really strong. When you get it ramped up and actually started to push out some damage, you're going to absolutely obliterate so many enemies on the bot front because of the fact that it can increase in damage as it heats up. It also increases in penetration all the way up to heavy penetration. So you're able to take out Hulks, you're able to take out anything with a vent, you're able to take out so many different things like the War Striders and whatnot. The double-edged sickle is just very powerful, and when you actually use it correctly and push it to its limits, it's going to be very elite on the bot front, which is absolutely great. The secondary item I've been running a lot is the Crisper. The Crisper paired with the Warp Pack is just so freaking good on the bot front. Fire damage, even though it is a little bit bugged right now, is still very powerful. So if you're watching this video later and you want to understand why I'm using the Crisper, it is just very strong. Fire damage is going to do more damage to more powerful enemies such as Hulk, such as Factor Strategies, things like that. And in a lot of the footage you're going to be seeing, I'm going against convoys. I'm using the Warp Pack, flying in and destroying Factory Striders with the Crisper. It is just stupid how strong this is. You can also do the same thing with Hulks. You can do the same thing with any enemy on the bot front. Nothing is protected from the Crisper in this loadout. And that's why I like running it, because even though I'm not going to be using a ton, there's moments where I'll just warp around, setting things on fire. I'll take out a Factory Strider if I'm close enough. I'll also take out Hulks if they get too close. I'll just warp behind them and just keep setting them on fire. Crisper is really, really good on the bot front, and it is very, very fun, more importantly than anything. For the equipment slot, I'm pretty flexible on this. I've been running the arc grenade quite a bit just because it's just fun. I mean, it's not always super effective, but when it is just goated. Meaning you throw a couple of these into a drop ship situation, or you just try to like close off an area if you got a bunch of bots coming at you and like capture the flag, or even the convoys. If you throw this into a convoy, it will actually destroy factory striders if it hits the bottom area enough. I just love the arc grenades. They're just fun and unique. However, you can still run thermites. You can run the new pyro grenades. They're actually really good as well. And also, you can actually run a fire grenade as well if you want to run the base incendiary. So you have options here, and that's just one thing that's kind of flexible as your equipment item. But personally, give the arc grenades a shot if you haven't used them yet or not used them consistently on the bot front. Throw a couple of these into a pack of bots and just watch the chaos happen. It's going to stun them up like crazy and absolutely delete them with the fact that it deals a ton of damage with its arcing out capabilities. So anyways, give it a shot if you haven't tried it. For the armor passive, we are going to be running the heavy inflammable armor passive. This is primarily for the double-edged sickle. If you pair the heavy inflammable armor passive with vitality, you'll be taking 0 damage from the double-edged sickle heating up, because if you're not running that, then you will take passive damage from the double-edged sickle heating up. And when you catch on fire at the tail end of the double-edged sickle and you continue shooting, you can actually mitigate that fire damage a lot with running this particular setup of the heavy inflammable plus the vitality booster. Plus, this is an elite protection versus those firebots. So if you want to play the firebots, this is one of the best builds to run against the firebots because you're getting that ultimate protection. However, if you're facing any of the bots, this is going to be very good because really at the end of the day, the reason why I'm running heavy inflammable is because of that protection, but just the general overall effective health you get from running heavy armor is going to make you a much more beefier target and tank a lot more shots that you would normally not be able to tank against the bots in general. So really, you're not losing out too much by running inflammable instead of fortified. All right, for stratagem 1, we're going to be running the warp pack. I've already talked about it a little bit, but basically this is going to increase our mobility a lot on the bot front. So we can continue shooting things while we're warping around. And I'm going to talk about stratagem 2. We're going to be running the laser cannon. The laser cannon pairs so well with the warp pack because we can continue shooting the laser cannon while we're warping around. Same thing with the double-edged sickle, same thing with the crisper. We can just be warping around left, right, behind things, or up on things or whatever while we're continuing to shoot these weapons, which is very, very powerful on the bot front. Because a lot of times what will happen is because they're looking at our previous location, they're going to be locked onto that particular way we were before. And if we're to the right, they're not even going to be locking onto us yet, and we can continue doing damage to them while we're moving around them. Absolutely great. If we want to get frisky with convoys or with factory strategies, we can warp underneath them, absolutely obliterate them with the crisper. It's going to be great for getting us out of tricky situations. In general, the warp pack is just great for mobility. Now, the laser cannon is going to deal a ton of damage on the bot front. It already starts off by default with heavy penetration, so it's going to be great as a hot swap when we want to get out of the double-edged sickle because it's overheated. So basically what I like to do is I like to push the double-edged sickle, then I swap to the laser cannon, and then I'll be able to continue outputting DPS like crazy, which is very nice. It's going to be able to deal with any type of unit on the field. It's going to be able to do great damage against the vents, kill hulks in the front if you shoot them in the eyeball. It's also just going to be great for taking out gunships and things like that. So the laser cannon double-edged sickle combo has been one of my favorite ones on the bots for quite a while now. Pair that with the warp pack, it makes it absolutely insane in my opinion. So for stratagem 3 and 4, we're going to switch it up a bit. We are going to run the rocket sentry again. I still think this is just too good not to bring in on the bot front. It just makes things so much easier. You set this up on a hill, it's going to kill enemies very quickly. And because we're running a little bit light on anti-tank with this particular loadout, we're going to need a little bit more anti-tank in my opinion, and the rocket sentry will help with that. We're also going to plug in the 500 kg. 500 kg is not my favorite particular item to bring in against the bots just because it does work really well. It's very elite. It will take out factory striders and hulks and bases and whatnot. It's very, very good at it, but it feels a little bit more inconsistent against the bots than it does against any of the other factions. That's just me. I don't know. I mean, like, I just have always never loved it. But because we are going to be on the move so much, I don't want as many things that are going to require me to be stationary. But if you wanted to plug in the anti-tank emplacement here instead of the 500 kg, you can. Or if you want to plug in anything else, you can. Personally, I went with the 500 kg because I want a for sure go-to anti-tank thing on top of the rocket sentry. So that's why I ended up going with it, because it's great for on-the-move anti-tank. And it's just absolutely great because it can help with the base clearing as well. So really, the biggest weakness of this particular build is it's not great at fabricators. If you're running the arc grenade, you're going to have to be very mindful of that. So if you want to run a different grenade, you can, or if you want to even run the ultimatum, you can. But really, at the end of the day, this build is so fun because you have so many unique ways to take care of targets, from factory striders to hulks and things like that with the crisper. You can also take them out with the laser cannon, also take them out with the double-edged sickle, and it's just fun warping around everywhere and dealing with situations differently than you normally would instead of being so stationary and whatnot. So really, no matter which build you run, All these builds are going to be fun in their own unique way, but I've been having an absolute blast running this warp pack build for quite a while because it makes things so much more interesting in my opinion. Anyways, that's it for my thoughts on the meta loadout situation on the bot front. What do you guys think about this video down in the comments below, and let me know what your particular meta loadout or your ideal loadout is for the bots. More importantly, make sure you like and subscribe for more content similar to this. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.